Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Knives Gnar. This is a Matthew Degnan design, obviously made by, as the name would indicate, Knife Company. This is one of their higher-end, full-on knives. It is $227. Get that out of the way. Try to say the prices earlier in the reviews because I know some of you guys just turn off when you hear it's more than X amount of money. So letting you know, but for that price, you are getting S35 VN steel, full titanium construction, ceramic ball bearings, all that ceramic detent, all that stuff you expect from and very good quality. Let's just get that out of the way. I will say I was kind of excited about this knife. I just like the look of it, and I ordered one because I thought maybe you guys would like to see it. And then I looked at the specs, as I often do. Sometimes I'm stupid and I order things and then look at the specs. And I looked at the specs as it was actually like in the mail on the way to me, and I saw, ooh, this is smaller than I thought it was. I'm not as into these smaller knives as I used to be. This isn't dramatically small, 2.9-inch blade length. It's not like a tiny little thing. But just lately, I don't know, I've been gravitating towards bigger stuff. But once I got this in my hand, now I do really like it. And it's obvious that I like it because, just to get this out of the way, if you go to whitemountainKnives.com and try to order one of these right now with my 10% discount code SDWMK, which you can use at checkout on anything on whitemountainKnives.com, you don't have to order one of these, anything. This particular color configuration is sold out. And that is 100% my fault. I apologize about that. I did an unboxing video and they sold out pretty quick of this particular color configuration. But it is available in either the satin with the bronze and the gold thumb stud, or you can get kind of a blacked out version. The blacked out version you can still get if that's what you want. It's still pretty cool looking. This particular one is gone from White Mountain Knives. It's available lots of other places though, so this review is not completely useless. But I do really like the overall look of this, and that's what kind of attracted me. Again, like I said, I wanted to bring it to you guys, but also I thought, man, I kind of like that. I've been into bronze stuff lately. This is kind of a worn, tumbled bronze, and it just looks really cool. And it's pretty much everywhere. The frame, both sides, the pocket clip, the back spacer, all the screws. Some people I've heard a couple reviewers complain about about Wii's satin finish lately, saying it looked cheap. I don't know. I think it looks fine, but I have heard that a couple times. I've never felt that way about it. I've always thought it looked pretty good actually to me. But aesthetics are something that's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, all that crap. All you have is the Wii logo. You have Matthew Degnan's mark on the pocket clip, which I'm completely fine with. I don't like words on pocket clips, but I'm not usually too wound up about logos, especially something that's as innocuous as that. I love these gold thumb studs. If I have one complaint about this bronze version, and it is just me whining, but I wish they had done all the hardware in the same finish. I think if they'd done the hardware and all that same finish, God, that would look amazing. And they've done hardware in this finish before, so I know that they can. I don't remember the model of Wii that I had that had it, but I know I've had Wiis that had stuff in that finish. And was it the Schism? It was probably the Schism, I think, that had all the hardware finished in that same kind of gold. I kind of wished that was there, but it isn't. But other than that, it's a gorgeous looking thing, and quite proud to have it in your pocket or pull it out in front of anybody. Let's do some specs and size comparisons before we get too much farther. We have kind of lined this up here. We've got, these are all 1-inch squares, by the way. Overall length, 6.9 inches. Blade length, as I said, 2.9 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.13 inches, handle thickness of 0.44, and a weight of 3.76 ounces. So it's not light for its size, but it's not too heavy. I have had this apart. They definitely could have done more milling, and more accurately done some milling and made it a little lighter, but it's not the end of the world. It still carries perfectly fine. Now let's do some size comparisons. We'll put it in our normal little Spyderco sandwich to start out with. Move this down just a bit. You have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2. and probably more appropriately, the Para 3. As you can see, it's even a bit smaller than a Para 3. And I'll grab a couple more here. Your Ontario Rat Model 2. Trying to line all these up by the pivots, by the way. You can see it's very similar in size to that. And one of its cousins here, which I've not put it next to yet, but this is the Civivi Elementum. Oh, wow. I thought the Elementum was a bit smaller, but I guess it isn't. There we go. So you get kind of an idea what size it is. I think a lot of us have R2-D2s and Para 3s and all that stuff, or you've at least seen and held them, so maybe you'll know a little bit better. As far as this knife itself goes, the blade, S35VN steel. I like S35VN. I've said multiple times, people ask me what's my favorite steel, and I kind of say for EDC, just general purpose stuff, it probably is S35VN, just because it holds an edge really well. It's a good high quality steel. It's still kind of a super steel, but not really, I guess, anymore. But it holds an edge really well, and it's not insane to sharpen. So I do like that very much. The overall blade shape, there is no flats on this whatsoever. It's all belly. That's something that used to bother me. I used to really want to have a flat, but on a smaller knife, I don't really care as much. They did a pretty good job with this sharpening choil, I guess, this kind of flat here, but it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close. I'm not going to whine about it too much. It does have a very good tip on it. It's going to be hard to show because of this really cool looking, honestly, swedge up here. It's going to look thinner than it is, but it's a pretty good tip on it for a knife this size. You don't want to go prying open paint cans or anything stupid, but you never want to do that. But it works all right. If I have one complaint about this blade, it did come razor sharp out of the box. I gotta say that up front too. I forgot to mention that, but we always do, and that's kind of one of my complaints about this blade. I'm gonna be really picky here. I'm gonna be total knife reviewer privilege guy. We has lately been putting out knives, a lot of them, 13, 14, 15 thousandths behind the edge. This is like 18 or 19. Am I being picky? Yes, I am. If it was any other company, I wouldn't say a damn thing about it. But with they've just been putting out so much stuff that's really thin behind the edge. I was honestly a bit disappointed this wasn't thinner behind the edge. It still cuts fine. It still slices fine. It's just not one of those little, pocket laser beams that we've had from lately. And I was honestly a bit disappointed about that, but other than that, it's perfectly fine, and that's something I could easily fix if I wanted to. Just haven't gotten around to it, and honestly, I'm lazy, so I probably won't. Yeah, that's my only complaint about the blade. Ergonomically, I don't really have many complaints at all. If you hold it in the way that it looks like you're intended to, with this very generous finger choil, I have pretty skinny fingers, and they barely fit on it. But it's comfortable. It is very comfortable. My finger lands in a natural position. And I kind of like on thumb stud deployment knife. One of the many things I like about thumb stud deployment knives is you kind of have more for your finger to land on, and that's where my thumb lands. And it works really well. I can definitely feel that pocket clip. It's well shaped, it's well rounded, it's not really like a hot spot, but you absolutely definitely know it's there. But you can choke up on this. I would only do so when doing like push cuts, because if I was doing anything like a forward kind of cut, this is definitely not a choil. Your finger will slide forward and you will cut yourself. But on a push cut, I think you're safe. I've used it a lot like that, and I haven't cut myself yet. So as you can see, there's evidence. I've not cut myself. I've done it a lot, and I haven't cut myself on it. But that's not a flaw. That's just a design choice. But if you want to do actual, stabbing or forward cuts like that, you probably want to stay back here. And it's very comfortable. It grips really well. The texturing of the titanium is awesome. Yeah, just keep that in mind. As far as the carry goes, it carries really well. It's definitely not deep carry, but it doesn't stick out a whole ridiculous amount. Pocket clip tension is outstanding. This textured titanium doesn't feel like it's going to tear pants up or anything like that. I have no complaints about the way it carries it all. And again, the weight, I said, for full titanium and all that stuff, it's fine. They could have milled it out more. They chose not to. It's fine. And one of my favorite things about carrying it is not only no flipper tab, which we'll talk more about that in a moment, but with this full backspacer, it's just very comfortable for your hand to slide past. You just have this one smooth piece of titanium when your hand's going past it to get in that front right pocket, and that's great. Deployment, it's pretty good. It's a Wii. You expect it to be. I've talked at length, and I'm going to try not to beat on this too much, but as a knife reviewer, I have to review a lot of flipper tab knives. It's just the way it is. It's my lot in life. It's fine. I could suffer much worse fates. But I really like to see a good thumb stud knife every now and then. And luckily, lately, there's been a lot of them. Maybe by December, I'm going to be saying I'm sick of thumb studs and I want my flippers back. Who knows? But and I still kept a lot of my I still have a lot of flipper knives. But that's one of the things that attracted me to this was it was a Wii with a thumb stud, which is pretty rare. I think I said in the unboxing I couldn't remember them having done one. I'm an idiot. I just reviewed one like a month ago. I forgot about it, the Schism. And then I think there's been a couple more other than that people pointed out. But it's a rare thing for Wii to do it. And I'm very glad they did on this one. Because we're going to start out with, before I even flip it open, these little forward finger, cutouts, finger grooves, whatever you want to call them, also guide you perfectly to this thumb stud. And it's perfect. You do have to be careful, like I just did, and because it's a small knife, and this has nothing to do with a design flaw. Keep your finger off that lock bar, and it's so good. You got to make sure to keep your fingers on the pocket clip, which the pocket clip is generously enough size to do that. And I kind of suspect that is not on accident, but drop shut excellently. I just love the way that your finger is guided to that thumb stud. And they're very comfortable thumb studs too. They're not the ones that are going to tear your fingers up. A lot of thumb stud knives do really destroy your fingers. I'm very much liking it. You can spidey flick it, all that stuff, as you can see. Very, very good. Just don't push on the lock bar. But what's nice about it is if you do accidentally push on the lock bar, you saw when I just failed it, it's not like a death lock thing where it won't open. It doesn't snap out like it usually does. So that's a sign of a pretty good detent and a pretty good design. And that's kind of where I got to say this overall. It's a pretty darn good design. I really like it for a knife in this size range. It's a pleasure to carry. It's a pleasure to use. It's a pleasure to look at. $227. Is it a bargain for S35 VN and titanium frame lock? No, it isn't a bargain. I wouldn't say that. But is it a ripoff? Absolutely not. Matthew Degnan, very respected designer. We very respected manufacturer. You probably have Wii knives at home, whether you know it or not. But they make everybody's everything in the really high end stuff now. And I have zero really major flaws. I wish the screws matched the thumb stud, and I wish it was a little thinner behind the edge. That's being pretty picky, and I only wish it was thinner behind the edge because I know we can do it. If this was from another company, if this was a RIA, I wouldn't have even mentioned the thickness behind the edge. I just said it's fine. But I just know that we normally does thinner, so that's the only reason why it bothers me. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Go to whitemountainKnives.com, use my code SDWMK at checkout, buy some stuff. Hopefully one of these, hopefully they're back in stock, maybe by the time you see this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.